eavesdropping ears in the greenhouse. This was a conversation that no one else should hear. I wiped at my brow and knew I had a smudge of dirt now in the middle of my forehead. It itched. I didn't bother to wipe it away. The dirt would add to the impression that I needed help putting in the plants and clearing the earth. The smudge gave the dramatic effect that I was going for. Edith wouldn't be any the wiser. My two goats, Philip and Peter, walked around me in a large circle like lions stalking their prey. That would be if lions were as silly as these overly rambunctious creatures. They were Boer goats. Philip was black and white, and Peter was brown and white. I'd adopted them when I moved back to Ohio after years in Michigan caring for an invalid sister. I bought them to help me clear the overgrown land around my home. Goats were the very best at clearing land. They would eat almost everything, but surprisingly, wouldn't eat grass. That was good. I wanted the lawn to stay intact. Philip and Peter were doing a good job of chewing through the overgrown weeds and plants. They ate everything in sight, including the invasive multiflora roses that were the bane of any Ohio farmer, due to their propensity to spread like wildfire and blanket the landscape with their treacherous thorns. I found the goats circling suspiciously and picked up my spade to encourage them to move away from the freshly tilled earth. In all my 67 years, I had never come across such ornery animals. I shook my finger at the goats. "This will be my flower garden, and if I see either of you in it, I will send you packing." Philip and Peter shared a look. "I know what you are thinking, but the garden is off limits. I would have said more, but just then there was the clip-clop of hooves and the rattle of a farm wagon on the other side of the house. Philip and Peter took off. They loved to be first to greet visitors to my home. I jabbed the spade into the lawn, rubbed a little dirt on my cheek to look frazzled, and made my way around the side of the house at a much slower pace than I usually tended to move. As I walked around my ranch house, I reviewed what I was going to say. Somehow, I needed to convince Edith that it was better to wait for love than grasp at the first man who showed interest. There was a reason I had never remarried in the 20 years since I'd lost my Kip. I knew what true love was and would not accept anything short of it. I wanted my niece to find the same. I wanted all the young people I helped to find it too. I removed my garden gloves and tucked them into the front pocket of my apron and touched the top of my head just to check my prayer cap was on straight and my snow-white hair, only a shade or two lighter than its original blonde color, remained tucked tight at my nape. I had always hated my white blonde hair until it turned completely white, so it was not a great hardship for me when I started going gray. However, I could do without the wrinkles on my neck and the aches and pains when I rose in the early morning each day. I came around the side of the house just in time to see Philip and Peter gallop like a couple of colts with their floppy ears flapping in the wind as they approached a petite blonde Amish woman standing by a wagon. The back of the wagon was full of blooming plants. Edith stood on her tiptoes, which only gave her an inch more on her 5-foot height. "Auntie Millie," she cried, "your geese are attacking me, again!" Geese was the Pennsylvania Dutch word for goats. It always made me laugh when the word was said around Englishers, because I suspected they thought we were talking about geese. "Philip, Peter, you leave her alone, you rascals. Leave Edith be. If this keeps up, she won't take you to the greenhouse." Peter stopped bouncing, but Philip got in a couple more hops before he settled down on all 4 hooves. He was the more excitable of the two. I snapped my fingers, which was a signal to the goats that I meant business, and they ran toward me, then began pulling weeds.